Hello, the amazing D365 community. This is Danica Makatangay, your Miss Dynamic Millennial. For today's discussion that we will be having for D365 Finance and Operations, we will still continue on our Neophyte series discussion and reviewing the past vlogs that we have for our Neophyte series. I believe we already have the necessary or prerequisite setups that we need for us to create a simple or talk about a simple transaction or simple daily general journal to be specific. And I know that reviewing our past Neophyte series vlogs, we didn't talk about creation of journal names, number sequence, taxes and all. But with this discussion, let's go dive into that topic. Creation of journal name, creation of journals with a very simple transaction first. Just for us on this neophyte series that we have, get the idea what the purpose of the journal is, what is the effect of the journal in D365, and how do we create a transaction using a general journal or how we do create a journal name in itself. Okay, so how do we create a general journal or what is the purpose? First and foremost, what is the purpose of a general journal or a journal? A journal is where we record our transactions, our accounting transactions in D365 FO. It could be a ledger to ledger or a main account against a main account recording. It could also be with a sub ledger against a ledger or a main account recording of transactions when we of course especially use our sub ledger journals. But for this topic, for this series that we have, let's talk about the simple general journal that we have. On how to create one, we navigate our navigation pane, we go to modules, and then general ledger, journal entries, general journals, and we also have global general journals. I have a blog discussing what global general journal is, so I'll just include the link where we can find that. So we can also take a review of what a global general journals are. For the general journals, click on this link and this would open for us the list or the grid view for the journals or the general journals that we have in the system. And in this general journals form, we can see that we have the ability to show all the journals that we have, all meaning posted and unposted. We could also show not posted, could also show just everything that has been posted. And we could also just show all that are created by a specific user or by created by us. So since there's nothing or there's no any general journal that has been created by myself, even I put it all, it would not show anything. So let's go back to the not posted view. And if we click on the new button, the first thing that it would ask from us is the name. Okay. Even though if I hit the save button, it would give us a warning message that the field name must be filled in. So we go select a journal name. And if we do not have an idea how to create a journal name or how does this D365 FO considers that a journal name is specifically for the general journal or for a specific subledger journal. If we create a duplicate tab for us and we go to General Ledger, Journal Setup, and Journal Names, you can see from here that there are a bunch of lists of the journal names available for D365. For example, let's take a look with AP Invoice. This is a journal name, but how does the control is being done for this AP invoice to be just on the subledger journal accounts payable invoice journal? So let's just do a double checking here. If I take a look here on this drop down, there's no such name as AP invoice. Okay, so what is the controlling part for that? The controlling part for it is this journal type that we have. Notice that for AP invoice, we assigned vendor invoice recording. If we go to general journal, we have the journal type daily. And if I click on edit and see this list of journal type that we have, this is the journal type that we need to assign for a specific journal name depending on where or on how we want to use that journal name. And in this case, since we are creating a general journal, we want that journal name to have what? A daily journal type. Okay, so this journal type, even though how many journal names you created for AP invoice, for example, or for vendor invoice journal, as long as you are not directing or giving it a correct journal type, you will not see it for vendor invoice journal. Okay, and then another point is our voucher series. So we have a number sequence that is generated by the system. We have that wizard number sequence, right? So those number sequences generated by the system, those are the number sequences assigned on the parameter level. If we notice, if we open one of the parameters, let's say for example, we open the general ledger parameters for us, ledger setup, general ledger parameters. If we open this one and we go to number sequences uh, section, even though we're not the ones who assigned all of these number sequences here, through that wizard that we ran for the number sequence, the system would automatically assign it for us. And it's up for us if we want to do a modification, not a modification, but if we want to do to edit or alter the number sequence that was assigned default by the system. But this voucher series over here, it's us who would need to define that voucher series. Okay. And also we can enter if the amount includes sales tax rate, if there is a workflow that is to be included onto that journal name, it's up to us. And we would want to have posting restrictions and journal control, which we also have some discussion and blogs in Miss Dynamic Millennial. We can visit that, revisit that, so we can see what else we can do as a setup for our journal name. Okay, going back onto our general journal now that we have figured out why this is only the list that I am seeing on the general journal. That is because of the journal type. Now, this description is based on the description that we put in on our journal names. We can change that to make our general journal or the journal that we are creating to be more of a descriptive general journal, for example, adjustment of this expense going to this expense, and so on and so forth. Okay, so for us to create the lines of our general journal. So this is the header view. For us to create the transactions within that journal, we can click on this batch number and we can click at the same time for this one, lines button. Okay. And once we the lines view opened for us in the journal name, this would be our view now. It's a totally complete it's totally complete view for compared with the header view, of course. And this is the one that we are discussing about, that you can put in a ledger to ledger or a main account to main account um, transaction in your journal. You could also put bank to ledger, customer to ledger, but those do have specific subledger journals that we can use for us to uh, more correctly enter the transactions. For the journal vouchers, as much as possible, of course, we can do the ledger to ledger type. But if really necessary to do adjustments for different account type, then let's make use of the general journal voucher. Okay, so for the account type and offset account type, we also just have the same list. We have ledger, we have customer, vendor, project, fixed assets, and bank. And for us to just simply create for this topic, for this discussion, simply create a general journal and make use of the setups that we have before. We have the account structure, our main accounts, our financial dimensions, right? So let's make use of that. Let's take a look and see what is like an expense account that we can use for this. So for example, I have my other miscellaneous account. I can put in my business unit, assign a department that is corresponding to that, and a cost center, for example. Say adjustment of expense entry. And on this description, if you could see, there is a drop down here. This means that there's something where we can define this description, right? So if we go to general ledger, we have journal setup and journal descriptions. Here, we can enter or set up a default or journal description that we can use periodically when we are doing transactions. So for example, let's make use of this core. So let me just cut this for us to see that this is where we are seeing or getting the value coming from this description field. So let's make use of correction. Okay. And then let's do a credit of this one, since we would need to put that on a different correct ledger account. Okay. Let's see what else we can use. For example, we use this car rental expense. That's the amount is I think too low for that, but let's leave it that way. And here we have our item sales tax group and sales tax group. On the next series, on our next blog, let's talk about this, the item sales tax group and sales tax group, since we have not yet talked about that from our previous Neophyte series 2. Okay, but for now, that's how we create a journal name. That's how we create a transaction for D365. And if we try to save this before we do a validation, of course, the saving it is not necessary step. When we validate a journal, even for any subledger journal that we have in D365, we have this validate voucher only, and simulate posting. Now, what we are recommending to our client to be used is the simulate posting or simulate posting. The purpose is this: the simulate posting has the higher degree or highest degree of validation. It validates, it mimics, to be exact, it mimics the posting of the journal. So whatever we know or we could know what is the issue that we can encounter when we are to post a journal, the simulate posting can give that to us. Okay, so we click on validate posting, validate simulate posting, and while we are waiting for that to be done, now it's saying operation completed. So that means everything's fine so far. And just notice that there is a debit and a credit here. And if there is like not balance with our journal, it would show it here. What is not balance in our journal? So we click post. And once we have posted this transaction, this journal, it would say that we have one journal posted. And if we click on the voucher button, it would show to us what was the entry we created. We created a debit of car expense, rental expenses, and a credit of other miscellaneous expenses. Okay. And of course, we have this description correction. Now, since we have this voucher entry, what could be the effect of that? Of course, there should be an overall effect on it. It could be seen by on our trial balance. We could check that on uh, we could check that as well on our voucher transactions or on our financial report month end. That should be there. Otherwise, there is a challenge with us if we cannot see what we have posted on other um, available functionality where we can see what the posted transactions are in D365. Okay, so that would be all for our Neophyte series for today's vlog. I hope we learned something new or were able to revisit what we know about creating journal vouchers, the prerequisite in it, the effect of creating a journal vouchers, and so on and so forth. Okay, once again, thank you, mighty amazing D365 community. Hope you learn more and you enjoy more for the rest of our Neophyte series that we will have in this blog of Miss Dynamic Millennial. Thank you and God bless us all. Bye bye.